right.
Really, I should have went and got my wife goes, you really ought to put my collar shirt on. What do you mean, like, presentable? I'm just like, I can't, I don't know, what's wrong with me, Tom?
No. Well, you got peace. You got a feeling of living your life according to what you feel. What's God got for you in store today. That's it, right? It's not about going on a runway and caring.
I mean, you really ought to think out these things out. Maybe you ought to write down an outline.
Yep. Yeah, we could, but I think God brings it to us to outline before we know it. He wrote our salvation before the earth, the whole universe existed.
Yeah.
It's funny because whenever I have those talks like these, I just surrender to it. Okay, where's this going to go? Let's see. It'll be fun. So we just flipped it on and we're having a chat about God.
Okay. So, the stuff we're talking about, it can be tough, for people, I was talking to some friends last week, I just said a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just a little bit, right? I think maybe 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. You need to like give them baby bites. Small bites.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's how I package it up, or
Right.
how I need to present it a certain way, or have a certain tone, or
Yep.
if I say the right words, break it all down, then we can hear.
Yep.
Well, this is what I'm saying is, this is hard for people. I mean, it doesn't matter really. It doesn't matter if you grew up in an ideology,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
or you grew up in a theology.
Mm-hmm.
You grow up in something that's tough when somebody shows up and says,
Shakes it.
yeah, the water gets stirred, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens with people who grow up in an ideology or a theology, what happens is we connect our identity to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we connect our identity to an ideology or theology, the hearing shuts off, right?
Whatever doesn't align with it, don't hear, fight.
The hearing shuts
Yep.
off.
Yep.
And so that's why, if you read this book again, Jesus was always saying, can you hear?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear? Can you hear?
Yep.
Awaken, 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 right? Because they're asleep.
Yep.
Their ideology, that thing that they think is so important, it's the thing that they hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
They set their jaw and they hold on to it. They're going to die with that ideology. They're going to die with that theology. And the two groups that believe in the ideology and the theology, they tell each other they can't hear. You're not hearing me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why? Well, we're all caught up in our belief system,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we're talking about this stuff, it's tough on people,
Mm-hmm.
And so, when I was talking to some friends of mine, even though, it's just a little bit, maybe 6 minutes.
Right.
Just said a couple of things. Me, it's like I was telling you about, I don't even know, because I've started so long ago, I don't even know how to think any different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I get shocked. I kind of get shocked from what I hear,
Mm-hmm.
right? So anyway, that ideology or theology, what it does is it shuts people down. It shuts off their hearing, and then we don't it's hard to hear God when,
The mind's so busy.
we're so sure we're right.
Mm-hmm.
We're so sure we're right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that all comes from, all that theology and ideology comes from the same place. It came from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so it came from man's belief system of right and wrong, good versus evil. So I had a friend of mine say, well, the problem with the world is we got to get rid of religion. Well, hey guys, religion's just a byproduct of man's belief system. If you want to get rid of religion, you got to get rid of man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because that's the byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
So is that ideology and theology. It's the byproduct of man's right and wrong, good versus evil belief system. Because both ideology and theology, what do? Well, they form their morality. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. They start fighting over whose morality is superior.
Right. I'm right, you're wrong. Well, let's fight about it.
Mine's more superior.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, so last time we were talking, I was explaining this book as being representation of the Old Covenant age. Mm-hmm. And I talked about that period between the garden through Moses up to the cross was the Old Covenant. And so we talked about the Jewish people. And so, one of the things that was going on was the Jewish people just kept saying, well, we can keep the law. Mm-hmm. And Christ, he just kept on dumping more laws on them. Mm-hmm. Every time they said they could do it, he threw some more out. I mean, the guy was making up laws. Mm-hmm. Okay? I mean, a law is a law. Mm-hmm. Okay? People say, well, it's the 10 Commandments. Well, a law is a law. It's a rule. It's a rule of conduct. Mm-hmm. It's the thing that says you ought to do this, you ought not to do that. That's the law. Mm-hmm. And so that's what he's doing. He was just making laws up. He was throwing laws back at him until the end of the context was, well, you're going to have to be perfect. Mm-hmm. Think you can do that? Maybe not. Right? So that's what he was trying to say to the Jewish people. And then, so he was talking about the new covenant. And so what happened to the Gentiles? Well, what did the Gentiles do? Well, they went off and emulated what they saw, right? Well, we're going to go build the New Testament church. Mm-hmm. Well, here's a news flash. Mm-hmm. The New Testament church didn't get it. Mm-hmm. They should call it the church of the church that doesn't get it. Yeah. See what I mean? Well, what do I know? Well, we're back in here talking about unrighteousness.
Mm-hmm. The Old Covenant. New Testament is not the New Covenant. The New Testament is part of the Old Covenant.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So they didn't get it. Mm-hmm. So what are we doing today? Well, we're building a New Testament church. Yeah. If you go out there, what are they going to say to you? Well, we go to a New Testament church. So if you listen to the message in the New Testament church in 2019, what are you getting?
Well,
why? Well, what are we talking about? Sin, unrighteousness, behavior, mm-hmm. the devil, hell.
Which means Christ didn't do his job.
They didn't get it.
If
they didn't get it.
Right.
And so this whole book right here, this book is man saying I can do it, and God saying no, you can't. Mm-hmm. That was the whole point of the law. He was just saying, hey, guess what? You can't do it. I know you want to do it. I know you're trying to do it. I know you're good people, but hey, guess what? You can't do it. So guess what? I'm gonna. Yeah. And all he's saying is believe in me. It's that simple. It's really, I get, maybe that's too simple. That's the problem. Maybe that's
believe
the problem.
In me, right?
It's too simple, right?
Oh man, it's simple, and it lifts the biggest burden, and that's the gift. Like we just chatted about how when people win lotteries or they get some large supply, they don't feel worthy and they just blow it away. Like this is literally the gift that takes away all the burden, takes away all the sin, takes away all the judgment, and it's in there. But people are still focused on I have to be perfect, which overcomplicates. I mean, that's a big load to carry.
Well, you're still believing in self.
Believe
that
in
you're the
yourself.
power source. You know?
When we plug into the main power source of God, now we recognize we're one. We're part. God is in us. We're one, and God's will flows through us.
Well, that's a pretty big load. I mean, that's where all the anxiety comes from. You know, we're walking around believing we're an independent self with our own will and our own power. So we got to make it happen. So it's tough on us. And what do you say? Well, I came and died to abolish death and bring forth life. And so we've got it all. We're not lacking anything. And so me, looking at my flesh, I would say, well, yeah. I'm the chief of sinners. Right? I'm going to go back in the back and just beat the hell out of myself. Right? So that's the good news. That's what we're talking about. What we're saying is that we're talking about coming to know God, not coming to know a program.
Right.
Not coming to be a better Christian, you know, or whatever that is, right? Be a better whatever I'm practicing. So you talk, I mean, you mentioned last week about what about other religions. I mean, the only thing I would say about that is just think about the result. I mean, if you believe that you need to practice something and oh gosh, I missed today, you know, what does that do to you? Does it bring you guilt? You know? I mean, whatever you're doing, whatever you're believing in, I don't care what you want to call it, is it bringing you peace and rest?
Right.
Okay? Because God's in all of it. You know? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is, you know, if you want to go out in the backyard and believe in the maple tree, you know, and you want to make the maple tree your God, you know, knock yourself out as long as it brings you peace and rest. Because God can talk to you out of a maple tree.
All right.
See what I'm saying?
So that's the old covenant. The old covenant mentions the new covenant. How can people grasp? Like, I think because you've helped me understand it, but it's hard for people to. I mean, they're in this and they think that it's all the law, and even with Jesus, like I have to be like Jesus and all this. But the old covenant is the book from start to finish, Genesis to Revelation. What does?
Well, it represents the old covenant age. Okay, it speaks of the new covenant, and that period is up to the cross. Okay, I'm just saying that past the cross to the book of Revelation is a group of people that didn't get it. They just didn't get it.
It became more of what the old covenant was.
Nothing changed.
Yep.
Nothing changed. And look, today, I mean, nothing changed. You go in the building, I don't care if it's a synagogue, a temple, a mosque, I don't care what you're walking in, nothing's changed. It's a rule book. It's a rules program. It's a work program. So this is about believing in the person. It's about believing in the God. Not believing in my works. Or somehow I can make myself
worthy. Right.
The idea of making myself worthy, wow, that doesn't compute with me.
Well, and God said, look, you tried, I can. You tried the I can route, and you can't. So here, I've done it.
It's kind of like, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you take another trip around Mount Sinai?
Right.
Maybe you'll get it this time, right? So, yeah, it's God whispering in your ear and opening your ear out And you just surrendering yourself and saying, you know what? I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do this. I can't.
I can't, but I know God
I can't. I
God's
can't. I can't. And it's the hardest words to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
So Father, you got this. I don't know where you want to take it. I don't know what you want to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to trust you. I know you have the words of eternal life.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm going to trust you in whatever takes place here. And the whole world can crumble up around us.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole world can say, you know, like Job,
Mm-hmm.
the Christians that showed up with Job, well, obviously you got a sin problem, Job.
Right.
Right?
You wouldn't be having all this happen.
Yeah, this wouldn't be all happening like this. I mean, everything would be wonderful, and, you know, you're walking. Yeah. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let the world say what they want to say, you know. You know what? From now on, it's me and God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, and that's really what it comes down to. You know, that's what Paul was saying. I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world. And he said, you know what I know? It's no longer me, but he that lives within me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not going through life anymore trying to make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go through life going, wow, I've got this thing, Father, that you put together before I was born,
Mm-hmm.
before the world began. Thanks for taking care of this.
Yep.
You know, I'm looking at it going, it's right smacking right here.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look like it's taken care of. That doesn't look good.
It's pretty messy to me.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's that you're walking through belief.
Yeah.
So it's I'm not saying, listen, what I'm saying is in my understanding. I'm not saying that I don't understand this. I don't see this. I don't feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying in my understanding, I'm not here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See?
Yeah.
See, so what I want to do is I want him to take over the government of my life. I want him to be able to, I want to know God.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only thing that's important to me. When I get that, all the rest of this will make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I can just get this, then everything will open up and make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So then
So I don't have a magic wand. I wish I had a magic wand. I could just,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So God, like you remove that you're not here. God's flowing through you, but you still go through this world and life, meaning you're not in it, but it's God within you. So in essence, you have some work that you do, and you do it, and you have some obligations and you do it. Like, so how does this combine with being in the world, knowing what you know? Like, how does God flow through you through
we
all
all
this?
go through this day of ours, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're, connected into work, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Think about where I am right now.
Right. Right.
Isn't God funny?
It's funny, right? And God must be laughing pretty hard about this. Watch this.
It's
This ought to
funny.
be
You go. I work at a big major corporation thing, and it's so funny. They said, well, we like to hire people from the outside, because it'd be great because you get your perspective and want to hear, how your perspective, how you think about things and how you would do things, and that, really helps us grow and stuff. So then you get hired, you walk in the first day and they say, hey, get in the box.
Here's the box for you to get in, right? Don't try getting out of it. It's secured very tightly.
And so I show up, well, I don't even know box.
Right. You just be, right?
I can't even. So anyway, God just
I bet
text me and all
that's
that.
a funny joke.
Text me. It's hilarious, right?
It's hilarious. There you go.
It's like me, like growing up out in the country, and I'm running around the creeks and fishing and doing all kinds of stuff, running around, and then the next thing you know, they throw me in a classroom.
Right. Here you go. Right. Yeah, but
and I don't know why that Dan, he had problems.
He's not sitting still too well.
I don't know. It's not gonna go well for him.
Right. And I'm sure there's some people out there who remember that in school, for instance. They just didn't fit in that system, in that box. And they got disciplined because they didn't fit the mold, and they were the rule breakers, and they're in the principal's office, and all this. Now they're labeled bad. What's wrong
Well,
with
you're
this person?
not even trying to do the bad thing.
No, you're just being.
Right, you're not even, that's what happens to me. I just go, I'm not trying to,
I'm not shaking up. I'm just being. Right?
I can't. I don't even understand that. So anyway, if you look at the life of Christ, talk about a guy that didn't get the box.
Didn't fit in at all.
Didn't fit in at all.
No.
It's like him walking into Vegas and the whole, world going, that can't be the Messiah.
He's hanging out with these people.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Can't be that guy.
Well, they did say it. Look at him. He's hanging out with these tax collectors and these bad people.
Can't be that guy.
Yep.
So, somebody came up to me and they said, hey Dan, you ought to listen to this one guy on YouTube. He talks about the new covenant. I pull up the YouTube and I go, man, this is great, And so what happens? The guy, before he gets up to speak, it's a big monster church, right? Before he gets up to speak, the pastor comes up and starts reading off his resume.
Right. To prove he's worthy to be listened to.
Like, we're not in the world system.
Right.
Right?
Right.
He starts reading off the guy's resume.
Yeah.
Like, well, we need to listen to this guy because,
Yeah.
So he starts reading off the guy's resume, and so I guess we gotta listen to it. We act like knowing God or reading this book is like we're reading an accounting book or something. What in the world? Oh, hey, buddy.
Yep. Take it? Yeah, I'll pause it. Oh, okay.
So, but we're reading this book, or we're trying to know God through a world system.
Yeah.
I've heard, I don't know how many times people have come up to me and say, well, Dan, don't you understand, there's smart people out there.
Mm-hmm. There are.
You got, the rabbi, he's smart.
Smart, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know that our pastor can tell you about every lamp post in the tabernacle?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, we think intellect has something to do with spirituality. We're not talking about studying the history book here.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about knowing God. And so, is everybody smarter than me? Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes down to, can you hear?
Right.
And so it just,
You shared a couple verses
tough
with
for
me
me.
to understand the new covenant. Is it worth bringing those out? I know that it's not like that's kind of the resume type stuff, but it's in there.
It just says in the new covenant, it says that I'm going to bring a new covenant,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to write my word on the hearts of my people. Mm-hmm. No longer will neighbor show neighbor.
Yeah.
No longer will brother teach brother.
Mm-hmm. It's written on our
And all of them will be saved.
all hearts, right?
And all of them will know me, and they will be my people, and I'll remember their iniquities no more. And it's
the least to the greatest.
Yeah, and it says from the least to the greatest, they'll know me.
Yeah.
And so this isn't an exclusive club.
Right. Well, that's the key. That's the key right there. Like
this isn't man choosing God.
Right. That's the key.
Nobody's out there choosing Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, God's choosing man. Right. God chose man.
Everyone.
Before the world began. And so that's because we didn't see that, we can't believe that. But what God do? Well, he gave us Jesus. It says that he brought forth a manifestation in Jesus Christ. And so what did he do? Well, I'm going to show you in the flesh what I did for you because I loved you. This is how much I loved you.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I like what you said. It's not an exclusive club. And we as parents, I mean, imagine that. I mean, God sending his son and having his son die for us. That's pretty deep. Pretty deep. Yeah.
But he did all that before the world began.
Yeah.
And so he loved us so much that he brought us, he came in the form of flesh to show us what he did. And he says, I did this for my purpose and my grace.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because my purpose is different than man's purpose.
Yeah.
My grace is different than man's grace.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We give grace right up until we find out
Whoop, not
Joe
that.
went off and
not that.
I
won't forgive that. Yep.
I
won't forgive that, right. And in that movie I watched last night, just by accident, an interview with God, he's like, so knowing this, what you just described, all from least to greatest, before the world began, I forgave all sin, all iniquities. So what could you do that would be unforgivable to God? The answer is nothing. Nothing. And people, well, what about this person? Or what about that person in history? They did all these bad things. No, everything is forgiven.
Yeah, we think we're in some exclusive club.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there's people out there that, they didn't get it. And so they never, said the 14 words or did the repentance or whatever that is. They didn't, they did something.
Yep, you're almost in, but you didn't do this,
Yeah.
so sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's all. And what's that mean, all? And a lot of people, that encompasses all religions. That encompasses all races. That encompasses the entire world.
That's what I'm talking about when you read the Bible and you're right and wrong, good versus evil belief system, because you can't comprehend that. You read something like that and you can't comprehend that. It can't mean that.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the commandments.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So we still think we're under the commandments.
Right. Man. And that right there is the deepest. Like that's what you just shared there is the deepest thing. Like
that's just man. Listen, if we're walking through planet Earth and we're still just saying, well, I'm just a sinner saved by grace. We're still talking about our, unrighteousness and our behavior and, our repentance and, whatever is in your program. That's just man sitting under a message of dualism. Mm-hmm. It's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's a double-minded man. Believing in an opposite of God.
Yeah.
Believing in an opposite power.
Making God small.
And making his grace small.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that leads to, okay, well, wait a minute. So even these bad people and all this. So that means I can go do whatever I want and go harm all these things and do this other stuff. But the reality is, you said it in the new covenant. They will know me. I will have it written on their hearts. Like God's will is kind of ingrained into us.
We're dead to sin, and what I'm saying is you're going to do what God decides he wants to act out from this 10 years. And so what happens is something acts out, and then everybody around us, including me, what do? I start beating myself up, right? Everybody else around me is going, that guy, right? So here comes the condemnation and the judgment, right? Well, the only thing that's going on here is he's acting out what he wants to act out in this moment. And what he wants to act out is perfect.
Yep.
Whether we see it that way or not.
His ways are not our ways.
And everything is coming from love, whether we see it that way or not. It has nothing to do with us. We keep connecting things to us. It has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with him and what he did before the world began. And what he manifested on the cross in the flesh so we could see it. There you go. Here you go. Here you go. Go see my son. Right? So
when you're plugged in to God and you submit and like, look, I can't. I tried and obviously I can't. God, thank you for this forgiveness. I don't deserve it, but you've given it to us before the world began. Thank you. Allow what's mine to do. What's your will that can flow through me? In essence, like, give up the controlling of it and give that to plug into God and let, okay, God, what's mine to do? What's your will to flow through this vessel? I mean, am I getting it? Am I sharing that right? So at each moment, even and especially in the ones that look messy, like this is, and a lot of our conversations have helped me. Like, all right, I don't quite get this one. If it was up to me, I wouldn't want to be here in this situation, but it's here. So this ought to be interesting. Like, so, but I obviously can't do it. So help me, like, let your will flow through me. What's this going to be? And enjoy the day, to include the good, the bad, the things that look like they're insurmountable. All right, this one, thank God I'm not dealing with this because I can't handle it, but I know you can.
Well, it's a renewing of your mind. And so you don't think the way you used to think. You don't operate the way you used to operate. Everybody's all concerned they're going to misbehave. Right. My gosh, I'm going to misbehave. Well, my gosh, you're just going to do what God wants to do today.
Yep. Right.
Quit judging how he wants to operate. Right. Who's the God in the God relationship? Yep. You or him? Yep. Who's driving who? Who chose who?
So how about choices? So there come these things where we could turn left, turn right. We could make a yes or a no. We could go do this. We could say, I'm going to pass on this right now. When we're in those moments, what are some examples? Like just
when you get to the cross in the road,
yep.
Take one.
Take one. There you go. Right.
And you know what? What I'm saying is you can go and sit on a rock all day long and you can choose your brains out. But you're only going to act out of the choice that God decided to act out today at this moment. So you can choose your brains out and you can keep connecting that choice to yourself. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go, oh crap.
The wrong
choice.
Turn back there, right? Again.
I knew I should have went to the right. If I'd have just done this, you see what I mean? Or we're always saying, well, that shouldn't happen.
Right.
So man's always out there telling God what he can and he can't do.
Wherever we are,
right?
We're there due to we're exactly where we need to be.
Right. So we just keep connecting everything to ourselves, and because we think we're in the equation and we think we're important, and so we think this thing out here, human beings and planet Earth, very important.
The most important.
The most important.
It's a narcissistic
This
Earth,
is why we're here.
and it's a narcissistic tent that we're in, right?
Make a difference.
Not just we. I'm here to make a difference, right? That's the feeling, right?
Listen, the only reason why we're here is to know God. That's it.
And God is love. God is forgiveness. God is all. Right. It's all.
We're all caught up in all the stuff out here. Next thing that pops up, the way we go, right? We get hypnotized.
Yep.
There we go. And then we'd say, oh, we're not programmed. We're not a robot. We're not a puppet. Oh, no. Right?
Man.
As we're walking across the
Right,
street.
right.
Like we're
Almost
walking.
get hit by
I mean, we get cars all over the...
Almost tapping.
You notice that walking,
All the
right?
time.
I see people all the time.
All the time. Yep. All the time.
They have no idea what's going on out here. But we're not programmed.
Yeah.
We're not programmed.
Which is all part of.
Which is another big problem for us.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh. You tell me I'm not in control of my own domain. Right? For some reason that bothers us. I don't know. I'll be a puppet all day long for God. I'll be in His will all day long. Man, I'd rather be in His will than mine.
Right. And that's the peace. And that's kind of like in this. I'm trying to.
You want peace and rest? There it is. You want the good news? There it is.
Yeah.
Give up. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing, man. And that's why it's even in here. It's even in here. It's right in here. He says, you got to partake in my flesh and blood. And they go, oh man, that's a hard saying. And it says, he's talking to his disciples. He said, they followed after him no more. Peter goes, I don't know. All I know is that guy's got the words of eternal life. Everybody thinks he's a nut job.
And that's the part that we have a hard time understanding now. Everyone thinks that, oh man, everyone's just bowing down to Jesus. No, he was disrupting the whole system. He was not fitting into the box. And they killed him because he didn't fit in the box. But they didn't. God's will, that was part of the process. And even Jesus said something. And I'm no scholar.
Telling you what, if anybody knows what's going on in your life today, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
He felt it all.
There's nothing. Yeah.
He went through it all. Yeah. Man, if you got something going on in your life today, you want to talk to somebody? Yeah. He felt it all. He went through it all. There ain't nothing out there that he didn't go through.
I just got chills thinking of this. You said surrender your will to God's will. When Jesus saw, because he had foresight to know he was going to be on the cross, he was even crying to God, take this cup away from me. Until he gave up his will and said, Father, let thy will be done. Yeah. So even Jesus, God in flesh, I'm getting chills thinking, tried taking over with his will. I don't want that. Take this cup away from me. And surrendered to God, saying, God, let your will be done. Father, let your will be done. That just gave me an epiphany of.
Well, that's what we're doing. I mean, listen, what he tried to do was show us. Yeah. I mean, people think, well, that was Jesus. See, that was Jesus. He's different than us. You know, everything that was going on, he's just trying to show us. That's how it works. That's how it works. I can't have my own self do nothing except for the will of the Father. You know, he had to leave. He said, I got to leave. So all you want is the next magic show.
That's right, yeah.
You just want me to walk on the water again. You want me to get some more water and turn it into
Kill
one.
some people, raise some dead, yeah, all that, yeah.
Make the blind man see the next guy, right? Make a difference in the world. That's all you want, right? So I got to go. Why? Well, because if I don't go, you'll never know the Father. That's what he said. Why? Why? Well, what's man doing? He's looking at the manifestation. He's looking for the next manifestation. Well, we're all here in the building waiting for the Spirit to show up. Right? They're just looking for the next manifestation. He said, you know what? You keep looking at me, you're never going to know the Father. And so that's what he was trying to tell us. So what are we all caught up in? The manifestation. We're all caught up in the experience. We had an experience. We had a feeling in our bosom, and now we're saved. See?
There's nothing we can do.
It's not an experience. It's not a feeling.
We don't choose.
You know what it
Jesus,
is? It's a knowing.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. You'll know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like what you said. It's not us. We are caught up in man accepting and seeking Jesus, accepting and seeking God. God already accepted us.
Yeah, we got it backwards. We're thinking people are accepting Christ now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We think we're choosing Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
and God chose us.
Yeah.
We think it's we're making a relationship with God. Well, guess what? It's his relationship.
And there's nothing we can do. And there's nothing we can do to break that relationship. Imagine a human relationship where no matter what you did, the person's like, I still love you and I forgive you forever.
Yeah.
Continually.
Yeah.
Just wouldn't work. And human, we're too judgmental. God says there's nothing that you can do to break this relationship that I have.
And that's why man has such a hard time comprehending that. And that's what we're saying. That's what we're talking about, right? We're believing in something that's...
God's ways are not our ways. Thankfully.
We're believing in something that doesn't...
We'd be screwed if God thought like us.
Are you kidding me? Right? And so, yeah, that's what we're talking about here. What I'm saying is, we get what this is, right? We're just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And people, well, Dan, you ought to, just make, why don't you get the scriptures and put an outline together and give us the chapter verse, and then, then we'll take a look at, we'll go run off to our, pastor, priest, bishop, and rabbi, and, we'll talk to them about it, make sure you got it right, and then, we'll do the equation, we'll do the equation, and make the equals, and then there you go, and then, okay, we're ready to do it.
Yep. Now go convince people.
Right.
Now go convince people. Now it's your duty to go convince people on this new program.
Gotta go reach.
Right. Well, the bottom line is...
And what does he say? He says, no longer showing your neighbor, no longer brother teaching brother. What do we do? Every Sunday, every Saturday, every whatever, we're out there,
And the way I see
what are we doing? We're teaching them in the new covenant building.
Let's go be this.
The church that didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's 2019. And it's...
Well, and I'm laughing because one of the statements that I always thought was judgmental when Jesus was saying, "Oh, ye of little faith." I pictured him as like, "Oh, ye of little faith." I now see it as him laughing like, you still don't get it. You still don't get it? For real? You see me do all this and you still don't believe? Like, really? Like, I just laugh at that now when I "Oh, ye of little faith." I used to thought it was like judgmental. Now that must have been pretty comical. You still don't get it?
He's walking around. He's like,
what else do I got to do? That's what he's like. I got to go because otherwise you won't know God.
I don't even get you people. I don't even know what to say.
Oh, ye of little faith. So we're still 2019 years later.
2019.
Not believing.
Still talking about.
That basically.
We're still building the New Testament church.
Yep. The old covenant. We're still right. The old covenant. We're still works, and we're still trying to. I got this. I can do this. We can't. And we're still.
And the proof is in the message.
Yeah.
Go listen to the message.
So if you're watching this, hopefully this is fun and enjoyable. It's fun, right?
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm like, I don't have the words, right? I don't. What I'm saying is that you got to reach your end, and you got to get over yourself, your belief in yourself. I have no idea why you want to go through life as a self-believer. I just don't.
Yeah.
But you have a God, and you got something in you that you haven't tapped into.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is about recognition. And you got something going on in your life, man. Take it inward.
When you plug into God, you realize that's the power source. And you watching, like, think about this. No matter what you have done, God still is like, I forgive you and I love you. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's awesome. Like, and it's so good to feel that and know that.
How can there be a better message?
And think about this, like if you have children, sure, there's things that maybe you wouldn't have seen your kids.
Another thing.
Your kids are like, man,
People have a tough time with
yeah,
that.
right. But what could your kids do? I mean, yes, you'd be disappointed in probably some choices, but I love you and I forgive you, right? I mean, there's some.
Well, here's some relief.
Yeah.
You're not raising anybody.
Correct. Yeah.
You know, mom and dad, we think we're raising somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not raising anybody. Okay. God's God.
Yeah. He's in God. They're in
And
God's hands.
so can we trust God with that too?
Yeah.
Can we give that over? Can we rest in that? Boy, that's a tough one, right? Because, man, there's nothing you love more,
Yeah.
right, than your kids.
Mm.
I mean, my kids are older, man. It's...
Mm. Man, my
Right?
kids were here a week and a half ago, 2 weeks
Right.
ago. They actually read. I had them read some books that I have. That one of them is How to Win at the Game of Life, and it relates to Jesus and stuff a lot in there. And they're like,
Right.
Daddy, now I understand how you allow us to be in New York while you're in Florida, because I'm not worried. They're like, you understand God's in control.
Yeah.
So it
tough,
hurts. It
that's
hurts.
tough.
I was like, man, it hurts. I got tears in my eyes just thinking about it. I mean, but I'm okay with it because I know, thankfully, I know that they're in God's hands. If I had to worry and think I was in control and I had to make sure they didn't make bad choices, and I would be up at night. And
Man, who can you give them over to?
Right.
Better?
Right.
Who can you give them over to? That's
and
better.
you know, and their mother, you know, and I separated years and years ago, and we had different ways of conducting business, and I didn't think she did things right. She didn't think I did things right, and if I was believing that she was in control, that would keep me up at night too. I've allowed that God is in control of it all, and there's nothing I have to do, and I'm at peace with them being up there, even though it tears my heart out to not see them all the time.
And buddy, she's right where she's supposed to be.
Exactly right.
And God's got her. You know, we hope that you know.
It's all good. It's all God.
Yeah, I mean, we just hope for hearing, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that is. What I'm saying is that we go through life and stuff happens, you know.
Right.
And he says, whatever you loose in heaven, you loose on earth.
Yeah.
You know. So we don't need to hold on to stuff.
Yep.
You know, we just want to give that over and say thank you for taking care of this.
Yeah. And it's
Believing in the thing you can't see. Believing in the thing that you see is not done yet.
right.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Surrendering. Like, and that's not, like, I grew up in wrestling and in sports and being never surrender. You know, Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. Never surrender. Do or die. I mean, it's take that ownership, and to surrender wasn't really something I was jumping for joy of wanting to do. But in that particular instance, that was a big surrender of being okay with being that far away from my kids, knowing God's got it under control, thank God. And
I mean,
all the other areas of life.
and when you take it to your kids, Tom, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
And I didn't tell them, like, they came up with this, like, Daddy, when I read this, now I know why you're okay with us being in New York. And I said, well, it's not what I would, if I was in control, I'd want us to be together all the time. But it's the way that it is. And yeah, God has it under control. And I'm always there for you. Nowadays with technology, we talk and we communicate on a daily basis. I'm thankful for all that as well. But my plan didn't work out to plan. God's plan's perfectly in order right now. And that brings me peace. And that brings me peace in my personal life, my professional life. Guess what? Plans in business don't always go to plan either.
Buddy, you go through life and you go,
yeah. Isn't that interesting?
but all that stuff was for your benefit.
Yeah.
And it's just all about if I say I believe in God, then I gotta trust Him in all that.
Well, and here's an interesting thing, and I look back on my life as we're just chatting here. There's been some plot twists in my life. And funny enough, when I look back and I can see some of the plot twists when I surrendered and plugged into God, and and basically, God, I've tried to handle it, I can't, I'm handing it over to you. Funny enough, certain times around those real surrender moments, some amazing plot twists take place. And I can't piece it together, and there's no formula that makes it make sense. So in my life, that's what's shown true. So if you're watching this, consider surrendering it and say, hey God, I've heard about you. Man, this life has got me anxious, worried, concerned. I don't think I'm doing so well with this.
We think we need, what happens to us is we feel like we need to press on harder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And really the answer is, Father, I can't, but you can. Yeah. And so thank you, and thank you for loving me, and thank you for being my God. Mm-hmm. And thankful for telling me all about you. Yeah. In a world,
it looks like a mess.
The opposite.
Well, the world, here we are sitting up looking at the amazing beauty of the water and amazing things here, but down in there when we're walking amongst it, it can get quite sticky and messy. Yeah. And I can add some judgment on occasion to saying, well, that can't be right, or that's wrong, or that's this, and then I'll plug back in to say, God, it's exactly to your plan.
Yeah. What happens is you go through life and he just starts settling things in you. And then your recognition kicks on quicker, right? And because it just keeps settling in you, right? And there's
so from that perspective, think about as you're walking around in life, and you're like, man, if I was in control, I wouldn't necessarily want that or that. Thank goodness I'm not in control, because I am at a limited perspective. God's perspective is entire universe, world perspective. We only see our perspective. We have our blinders on. So as you're looking at it, say, man, and when you feel that judgment, like, I don't know, I don't quite get that. I don't quite understand, but I know you do. You got it. So I know it's all God, all good, right? It's all God. So in each and every one of the moments when I catch myself adding some judgment or labels to it, surrender it to God, it adds a much more peace on my journey. And I say my journey, when I connect, I try to say, God, hey, I'm excited for today. It's another day. I know roughly 150,000 people didn't wake up in this day today on the world that were here yesterday. So I'm thankful for this gift of the present, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and allow God's will to flow through me. And in doing so, like I said, there's been some interesting plot twists, and I'm thankful that I have been able to plug into that source. And I will say, there's times when I try to do it myself, and I got this, and unplug for a little while, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Plug back in. It's a fun journey.
Well, he's got it. It's just about us believing. Mm-hmm. It's about, do you believe in the thing that I said I did for you? Mm-hmm. That's it. I don't know, maybe it's too simple, but that's it. Yeah. So, that's the good news, man.
Here we go. So
He's got it.
If you have any questions, shoot, we just enjoy talking about this. There's really no agenda. There's no program. It's just us having a chat that I truly enjoy. And I thank you for your time, and thank you for opening my eyes to your perspective. And this has opened my eyes to have much more peace and joy when I had a lot of peace and joy prior to. Right? This just adds unlimited peace. Pretty cool.
God gets bigger, we get smaller. It says he must increase, we must decrease. Mm-hmm. So his grace just gets bigger. Mm-hmm. We're all worried about our behavior. His grace just keeps getting bigger. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we walk around in thankfulness, and gratitude. That's it. Yeah. So.
Well, every once in a while I come across, I'm at the airport or something, there's the news going and all this, and the news is just, what the heck? That'll get me stressed out if I start listening to that and believing it.
2019, we're watching the news.
Right. The news.
I go down to the coffee shop, Tom. Uh-huh. Newspaper. New York Times. Or just devouring the thing. Uh-huh. Like 2019. Mm-hmm. Guy's filling his brain up. Mm-hmm. He thinks it's true.
Yeah. And this is so bad. And this is,
2019.
I need to do this. I need to fix it. Oh my goodness.
2019 we're doing this. Mm-hmm. 2019 we're still building a New Testament church. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 2019 the Jewish people are waiting.
Yeah. Well, that's a great point.
The Christians They're waiting.
Yeah.
What are they waiting on?
Jesus,
Well, the Jews,
second coming.
Messiah, he never came. I mean, obviously he never came, because if he's Messiah, he's going to bring peace on earth, because Tom, don't you understand, this is very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about this. So the Messiah, when he comes, he's going to bring peace on earth, because that's what matters to God. What matters to God is there be peace on earth, even though he didn't make this in peace. He made it in a right and a wrong, which brings conflict, which brings war. And that's why it says in this book, there'll be rumors of war.
Right, of course. Yeah.
But anyway, the Messiah, he's eventually going to, at the end of the time, he's going to bring peace on earth. So they're waiting.
And the Christians are waiting for
They're
the
waiting.
second coming.
And then the Christians,
Waiting for the second coming. When he already
well,
came.
I think